This is a place I designed in the early 90s. It was finished in 93 and was destroyed in 2005 or 5. Yeah. But this is the room that is still existing. It's the café of the Museum of Applied Arts. And this was a showroom of the museum. And this was to be changed into the café of the museum, which at the same time should have a profile of its own. It should as well be accessible from outside as from the museum. It should not be just be a canteen of a museum. Next to the right, please. It's a space that is lit. That is. I hope it gets better. The producers of these items seem to think that the item is the better, the smaller the point is. I can't understand why this is. Nobody thinks about the use of this thing. It's a room lit from 3 sides, about 10 meters wide and 30 meters long, so a little more oblong than in this sketch. And the first approach to the room was rather not what to do in this room, but rather what not to do, especially which area and to which extent this room could be left without definition, so that it could be used for all kinds of purposes, including press conferences of the museum or festivities, marriages, whatever. Yeah. Next to the left, please. And this is the final plan, where you see that exactly the center, as envisaged from the first step on, that the center should be left free. There should be only 2 bars, which is good for a room, for a long room, because you can change from one bar to the other, and you have a certain selection. It's not just one thing, and it's also characterizing the 2 zones, or the 2 sides of this room. The most important or difficult thing was that this room was, as I said, a showroom of the museum, and therefore it had no street entrance. It was even elevated from the street, or it still is. Right, please. The street level is this. It's a section through here. This is the street level, and one had to reach this level to get into the room. And the difficulty with a room like that is that very easily you get the feeling this is an institution, and you go kind of to the canteen of this institution. It's not a public. The danger is that it is not perceived as a public place. Therefore, this room was kept open. Next 2, please, both. And this door was used to be opened totally in one piece, like this, so that you were actually in the street as long as you went to this point. You had the outside temperature, noise of the street and everything. You entered the place here. So you belonged to the street. You did not go into a staircase of an institution and then reached the cafe, but you went into the cafe from the street. Left, please. These interventions are still visible. You can visit this. There's a restaurant now. You can visit this. And these interventions of the organization and of the spatial structure of the access and rooms and so on is still working. Next 2, please. No, sorry, can we go back? Right. Yeah, this, again, this, you see why, since this is the floor below, you see that also the kitchen even the kitchen is in another floor, which is a big difficulty for a restaurant. Therefore, 2 elevators for dishes are inserted. By the way, they are not. They have been taken out now, so people have to carry up everything over this stair into the place. And you can also reach from the entrance the kitchen floor. This small stair is leading to the depot and storage and kitchen and cloakrooms and so on. Next 2, please. Sorry, can we go back to the left? This is. It's important also to understand that this obliqueness of this element of the bar and especially of the stair. The reason is the oblique stair, because the space, what you have to reach over this stair is the lavatories at one point, and at the other point the garden. And so when the opening here is used, then this is the straightest way of the stair, and you don't use unnecessary floor space, which would be at cost of the kitchen or of the lavatories. This is why this element is oblique. By the way, it hits the very center of the room. In fact, it's the center line of the stair is the line of the center of this window and of the other window. Next to the left, please. And this is a longitudinal section. This is the entrance you saw before. This is Ringstraße, and this is the elevated level of the cafe. And this stair goes down to the garden and to the lavatories. And there's also behind this wall a small stair, which makes the access to this. If somebody wants to go has to go from the kitchen there or to reach the lavatories and come back, you can use this steep second stair. Next 2, please. This was how it looked. The whole room was only characterized by the coffered ceiling of this neo-Renaissance ceiling of the 1860s, and of the partitions. The partitions to the south side were fixed, so there had to be doors, while the partitions on the north side were ad libitum. They could be not only taken away but also put somewhere else, and as it is, for example, the case here. And the rest of the room is free. Actually, there were not circular tables used, but as you see, rectangular ones. Next 2, please. And in these freestanding bars, there is a necessity of fixing these glass cases without vibration, and this is why this tripod element is supporting them. What I want to show by these arguments is that there is nothing invented because of a formal achievement. There is nothing that is not that does not serve some argument. I wouldn't say purpose, because I don't think that architecture is defined by functions. Rather, the functions are created by architecture as space and light and the other elements of architectural expression. But on the other hand, there is nothing which only serves to the purpose to create a shape or a form. Next two, please. These bars, when they are open, these glass cases, when they were open, they created two separate rooms within the larger room, which, besides of that, was completely open. Next two, please. The left, please. Left, yeah. This is the entrance and exit, and now we again are dealing with the relation to the city. When you stand here, it's not only that you are already out. When you go out here, you are not already at the temperature of the outside and at the noise of the outside, but you also see to the outside obliquely through this wide open door. And what is to be seen there has been it was not necessarily influenced, but you might notice the difference now, because the entrance has also been designed differently, and you enter now you don't leave. You don't enter in a straight line, and so you also don't leave the place in a straight line, and therefore this effect is almost neglected. Because now the exit and entrance is on this side of this element. There's another glass element, and you leave and enter here. So this view outside is in fact not so characteristic. Of course, things like that. Next two, please. Don't have to be realized consciously. They, in very many cases, work unconsciously. So when you left this door here, you saw out into Ringstrasse, into this piece of Ringstrasse. The Ringstrasse is a big polygon, of which, by the way, each of the parts of this polygon is structured symmetrically. And this shortest piece of Ringstrasse, by the way, for example, is characterized by Otto Wagner's Postsparkasse, which is this building standing in the axis across this square to Ringstrasse, because also this is the latest part built up of this scheme. And when you when you look out and get out here, you, funny enough, which is an interesting effect, see into this piece of the street from the other side. This angle of the polygon is just large, just small enough to see from the other side from this point. So the cars you see driving here drive that way before they go this way. Next to the right, please. But when this door, this is the big door that's open now, left, please. When it's closed, by the way, if you go there, it's still the same door. This is looking a little different, but the problem still is there. If you close this door, it would hit this part of the stairs. Therefore, left, next, please. When this door is closed, you don't see, you don't know that there's a place. So when you erroneously made a date on a closing day, nobody would find the place. They have put some sign now, but I thought this is this vanished kind of place was a certain effect. And when you go there, you will notice that at the open door, this part of the door has a separate hinge to be able to be moved, to be able to cross the stairs. Next to the right, please. Yeah, this is this closed door. There is a separate hinge for this part of the door, and this is the service door, which also works when when it's closed for guests. Both next, please. Now let's start with the second element, with the seat. When you, besides the temperature, I mean, of course, the most important thing is the air, the condition of the air, especially the temperature. The most unacceptable experience in a place is when it's too hot or too cold. But the second important element is the seat. Now, architects very often try to find a complete new solution for something like a chair. I don't know whether you remember, whether many of you have seen this. It was an element of fashion in the late 60s. It's from 1968 by Italian designers Gatti, Paolini, and Teodoro. Was called Sacco and was filled with styrofoam. And it was acceptably comfortable. The only problem is that you couldn't get out of it very easily. You couldn't. It was not so easy to get up. Right, please. Another principal approach of the late 60s is this one, to show an alternative way of living by virtually not caring about the furniture. The only thing is that also this does not really look very comfortable. And therefore the joke is used up in a comparably in not very much time. Next two, please. Now, of course, a chair is also not something to make architecture with it, although different times have tried to do so, or have an actual fashion or style of a contemporary style of architecture used also for furniture and for a chair, or have used past styles as a critical or ironic quotation. This is a chair. It's not the actual chair. It's a study, a prototype of a Chippendale chair by Robert Venturi. Now, what is true is that chairs are existing. It's not so that we have to find out how we could sit. Next two, please. And therefore, it's interesting how Adolf Loos, for example, approached this problem of a chair. He did not try to invent a new chair. What he did was, left, please. Left, please. Use a technology of chairs at that time very usable, cheap, not estimated very highly by bourgeois clients, but it was a chair that could not be overcome in its cheap technology and its possibility of mass and production of transport. They were distributed all over the world because they could be transported in parts and all this. And obviously, Loos took a very simple, not like this, but still not so as simple as this one, but with a little accentuation of where you could take it and where it had a certain modulation in its backrest. He took this chair, right, please, and modified it in a way. He did not invent it newly, invent a chair newly, but he modified this chair which had the advantage of being not only cheap, but also very light. You know that a chair like this can be lifted with one hand. And this is what a cafe, you say, I think, cafe chair should allow, that you can lift it with one hand, something which is widely forgotten in today's design. But he executed it still reduced in material. This profile is not round as these classical bentwood chairs were, but it's oval. It is the oval. The longer dimension is in the direction where the main bend. The main band had to be stood by the material, so it was strong, almost as strong as this one, but still had still less weight because of these oval profiles of the wood. Next to the left, please. No, sorry, to right. No, yeah, to the right, please. No, there's. Can you go back there? No, sorry. No, there is one missing. Make the next, please. And yeah, both. No, here it is. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, there's another photograph of the same product. Now, I had a similar problem when I changed or worked on the design of this chair, next to the right also. Which is not of a named designer, but of the firm Tonet of probably late 20s. And it for a long time was the cheapest achievable chair. It was used also for even for schools or for inns and cafes and so on. And this was redesigned by me in a certain way, adding to a part of to one type, adding an armrest, and both with a more relaxed position of the backrest. Next to the right, please. So it reflects the changes of seating we have in this half century or more, but it does not change the technology. Only that at this time, this was it was finished in 93 and produced in 93, especially, by the way, for the Markt Café, for this cafe I showed before. But at that time, it was not at all any more a cheap product. It was, since it's largely bound to handicraft, it was rather an expensive piece of furniture than different as before. Next two, please. Yeah, next to the left. Now, you also makes sense to deal with ideas that have come up in past centuries. This is a chair. The left one is a chair type that it's also called voyeuse. It was in fact used to sit to the wrong side. You could sit with your legs both sides of this bag and rest your arms on this support and visit card players or chess players, and view card players or chess players. And so it makes sense for a certain for a club interior. It made sense to try to reproduce or find out what this type could be used for today. And this next to the left, and this is a product that is derived from an idea that in fact is dating from the 18th century. Next two, please. Yeah, I just this is a chair I designed for the interior of a restaurant in a Baroque palace. Where we will see something of this, especially of the lighting later on. But it's also reproducing a type, not a Baroque type, but a type of the early 19th century, a time where the concept of a comfortable chair was created. Before, a chair was not in its main aim dealing with comfort. It was dealing with representation, with decoration, with everything, but not so much with comfort. And especially the early 19th century created this kind of type for a chair that should be comfortable. Was for not for a feudal context, but for the bourgeois context. But even Baroque palaces were refurbished with furniture and chairs like that. For example, I just noticed that there is a definite rounding of this backrest. So when you lean back in a very relaxed manner, you don't have an edge in your back at this point, but this fits to your back by its rounding. Next to the right, please. This is a late or second half 19th century example. A sofa that is rounded. Here you see it in proper use. This is the foyer of the Vienna Opera, where objects like this are not standing anymore. But you can easily you think of the social situation that took place here. You can imagine one lady sitting here and one or two gentlemen standing before her, and another pair or person sitting on another side, not necessarily be acquainted. So that it is quite a different situation than for example, at a restaurant table where you would have to ask whether a place is free, and normally you would not approach a table that is already seated. This is a different situation, just by a very simple geometric fact that people sitting around this do not face each other, and also it does not consume very much floor space. Next to the right, please. And this is a cafe I designed in the mid-70s, where what I did not yet point out here is this curve. Can we go back to the right? Maybe it's better to be seen on the right side. Yeah, you see that it's the section of this seat is coming out here. It is not, as you would think in the first approach, something which is concave would be fitting best and be most comfortable. No, it comes out here in the back, and so does this next to the right again, and so does this seat. In fact, this is a classical upholstering, which was completely unusable in the 70s. In the 70s, a modern upholstery consisted of two prisms, of two pieces of styrofoam, and you just had these two kind of bricks which were soft, and this was considered to be comfortable. And this seat was there weren't even upholsterers who could do this in a great number. And also there is another item of the 70s. There you can play this in this cafe. You can play it the way that you say when somebody sits at this table is seated and not free. But you also can, in a time where in German language very many people just said du to each other. In English you have only one word for you, which is in fact the more formal approach. The older, personal, more intimate approach of thou, which is still used in Shakespeare's language, has faded away. But in German we still have the du for familiar and intimate relations, and the sie for the formal approach of somebody you do not know very well. And at that time, very many young people just started to say du, and also this is usable. You can use this as a bench where everybody is seated as he finds a place, or you can play it by these separations, by these supports, which seem to be supports, and table occupied or not. So next two, please. Both. And it's not an accident to use that from the 70s on, because in the 1960s, ergonomic studies found out this curve again, which was known throughout the whole 19th century. They found it. They started to study truck driver seats or audience seats. How they could be ergonomically shaped, and found out exactly this curve that was again to be used. This is the technical plan for the seat you saw before. This is another example. Left, please. Or this in the cafe of the Museum of Applied Arts, as it was. Next two, please. Sorry, can we go back there? Oh, this is in another example. And now you can, of course, do this in this traditional way. These knobs, these buttons fixing the leather or the fabric to the backrest, it's not a decoration. It's the only way in this technology to achieve a concave surface. Where the surface is convex, you don't need these buttons. You just need them where you want to create a concave surface to draw the material back. Next to the left. You can also try now. This is what I tried in another design for a fauteuil to support the body only with an armrest and with a shape like this, and with a seat which is elastic, and with a rest for the neck, in a way that you don't touch a hard surface. That there is a net spanned. I don't know how fixed to this frame, where you only touch with your body this net next to the right. This is not worked out in an aesthetic thinking, in an aesthetic argument, but just to first to reach it's a prototype to reach this fact that the body is only supported